live from New York.
Oh, we're back.
We're never gone.
Yeah,
you
no,
just had a bad take on Brock Purdy that soiled the well.
You were mad at me, but we're back.
We're back, but we're starting with a dominant run to the finals for OKC. The Wolves' unconventional plan to score only 9 points in the first quarter backfired terribly as the Thunder jumped out to a huge lead and cruised to a 30-point victory. Here are most wins entering the NBA Finals. We've got the 15-16 Warriors at 85, then two of the dynastic Bulls at 83 and 80, and then this year's Thunder. So are we ready to call the Thunder an all-time great team?
For a single season, one season, yeah, I do think they're 4 wins away, obviously, from being an all-time team. The 80-win thing to me is interesting, but can be a little unfair and misleading because while the NBA regular season has always been 82 games, your ability to add postseason victories, for the majority of my life as an NBA fan, it took 15 wins to win a championship. For the last 20 years, so I guess half my life, it's taken 16 wins. But before that, you could do it with 9. You know what I mean? You could, and so I looked at it a little bit.
Like that 68-win team in Philly.
Exactly right.
68.
So they couldn't get there even if they had swept the postseason. So I looked at it from a kind of different metric, which is, all right, who are the teams that won more than 65 games and won a championship? So that's 12 teams long. We can show you who these teams are. And for whatever it's worth, for my money, this kind of includes all of the teams in the discussion for best team ever, except for the 83 Sixers, the faux Sixers. And there's Wilt near the peak of his powers, Kareem right out of the league, the Lakers that won 33 in a row, the best Celtics team ever, 3 Bulls teams, the first ever Shaq-Kobe championship, the first real made big 3 in the NBA with the 08 Celtics, the Heat that won 27 in a row, and the first 2 Warriors championship teams. The Thunder would join that list. You then add to it, okay, who are the teams that won more than 65 games, a championship, and had the league MVP? It's an even shorter list. You then, the Thunder also have something they were unequivocally the best in the league at, as all those teams did. For the Thunder, it was defense. They were the #1 defense in the NBA this year. And so I am not, it's weird, Brew, because when we talk about the best teams in NBA history, we typically are talking about multiple seasons. We're talking about stretches of time. Yeah. But if we are saying, the best single season, I don't think this top 5, obviously. I don't think they're one of the 5 best teams ever. But if you say, hey, is this Thunder team away from having one of the 12 to 15 best seasons of all time? I think it's pretty clearly the answer to that is yes.
Well, like you said, first of all, win the championship first. All right? Yeah. And we've seen great teams, lose in the finals. I'm not even going to talk about football because that's, we think the greatest team we've ever seen, that Patriots team, didn't complete the deal. That's a one and done. But in a 7-game series, look, the Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Lakers lost to Detroit. No one thought that was going to happen.
The 73-win Warriors.
Right, exactly. So you got to complete the deal, obviously. They look fantastic. The defense is, I think, one of those all-time great defenses. I think you can – I'm not saying they're as good maybe as the Bulls' defense with Jordan and Pippen and Rodman, the Detroit Bad Boys, all those. But they're a great – legitimately a historically great defense. Whether or not they can be called an all-time great team, it feels like it's unfair, but they are going to have to, they're going to have to win multiple championships. They're going to have to show it. People were saying the same thing about, Denver's about to, after they won in 23, nobody was saying they were all-time great team, but they were saying they're going to win some more championships. Sure. Boston last year, people were starting to say, oh my gosh, is this going to become an all-time great team? Look, I get it what the stats say. The 68 wins is great. Top 3 defense, top 3 offense. The win, point differential was the best ever.
Because sorry to interrupt. The point differential, I think, can be a little misleading because as games become higher scoring, beating a team by 10 is less
meaningful. The other highest ranking point differentials were in the 70s when the scoring was really high.
Sorry to interrupt.
But I just think, too, I don't put as much stock nowadays in the regular season record as I used to because of load management. A lot of times the star or top players aren't playing. The prominence of the three-point shot so games can really get out of hand one way or the other. And then injuries. It feels like guys are injured more than they used to be. So with so few guys playing 75 to 80 games, the record, it just, I mean, Cleveland won 64 and had a point differential of 9. Boston had a point differential of 9, and they both went out in the second round. So people will look at it, and especially the analytics guys will look at their numbers in the regular season. Oh my gosh, all-time great team. What's going to have to happen, because right now they're a one-off. The only one-off, I mean one championship, period. The only one-off team that I consider potentially an all-time great is the 83 76ers. Moses Malone, Dr. J. Why? Because they had 2 Hall of Fame legends in their prime. Now, if Chet or Jalen goes on to show us in the next few years, they're a future Hall of Famer, one of them may become a superstar, then we'll look back at this team as better than at least I will, than I see it right now. But these guys have to emerge in the future as stars.
I had a thing for you.
Yeah.
This is what Simmons tweeted, and it wasn't necessarily an original thought, but he just put it all together, and I was like, wow. OKC is 8-1 at home in the playoffs. They've won those 8 games.
Bludgeoning people.
51. Those are Grizzlies games. 51, 19, 43, 7, 32, 36, 15, and 30. So I think that...
And the one loss was the Aaron Gordon dunk.
Yes.
Buzzer beater.
Yes.
Which
they were up on.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you're watching the team, you don't realize you're looking at an all-time great team. But if your kids are growing up, you're like, hold on, what were they beating teams at? Beating teams by 50 and 40 and the closing teams out.
Yeah, but it's 30? Not like they've walked through the play. I mean, they went 7
right,
with Denver.
That's the thing.
Denver, that might be credit to Joker's excellence by himself.
But I mean, that was no superb team.
Right. So this is why
guys banged up, a coach who had no experience.
I know, but
so I think there are, I talked about this earlier. I think there are, hard just factors of what makes you an all-time great team, and then what I would call kind of the softer opinion factors, right? The hard ones are, what was your record? You know what I mean? What was your point differential? Those things. That's just the data, right? The softer ones are, okay, and let me add one other thing to it. Did you ever face elimination in the playoffs? Did you ever face any real adversity in the playoffs? I think you
saying you need that?
No,
or you don't?
No, I think that the reason you include the 83 Sixers is because Moses said they could go fo, and they went fo 5 or whatever. They lost one game. The Shaq Kobe Lakers, I don't think the one on that list, but the second one, they lost one game, the Iverson game. The first Durant Curry Warriors. They didn't go to a Game 6. You know what I mean?
Jordan never went to a Game 6 or 7 in the finals.
I think the team on there along the way they did, and so I think that probably cuts against them. I think did you go through legendary teams?
None of these
for this team, no. They did go through the legendary player of the moment in Joker. So I think all of that kind of plays into it. The question I was going to ask you, though, Brew, is if the question were phrased a little differently, where you cannot incorporate what happened before or after, and it was, hey, what are the best, since you've been covering the league, what are the best single-season performances? I feel like they are 4 wins away from having, being included in that.
It's a fantastic run, assuming they win it. I mean, again, the all-time best point differential, best defense in the league, third best offense in the league, the MVP. But let's keep it real. The teams we look at as the greatest had multiple, superstars, generally.
Or legends.
Yeah. And that's why I said, let's see what Chet becomes. If Chet becomes what I think he can, which is a superstar. He's definitely going to be a star in my view. If he can become a superstar, then we will absolutely look back and be like, Chet Holmgren and SGA, or even if Jalen does it, like he becomes like a Scottie Pippen type player or something like that. I think, but this is who I think they are. I think they are. I've talked about, and people say, well, you're always comparing to the past. We do see a lot of, like Shaq was like the Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, of course.
Kobe was like Jordan.
Yeah.
Like we see a lot of guys that are similar. To me, they are this generation's San Antonio Spurs.
Well, that would be great.
They're not and I think they are, you talk about set up. Like those three guys I mentioned, Jalen, Chet, and SGA, are going to be there. And then Presti is the best GM president in basketball. He's built this team. Lou Dort was undrafted. Isaiah Hartenstein is a second-round pick. So even if they have to lose some of the ancillary parts around their big three, he's going to add the right pieces. And they are like the Spurs in that just great. There's no drama. There's no ego. There's and they're not that exciting. They're kind of dull. SGA is, to me, a more exciting player than Duncan. But he's not Ant, he's not Ja, he's not,
It's not highlights.
Yeah. So they're kind of dull, but they are awesome. And I think they are going to have a run I'm not saying 5 rings. Spurs never repeated. Maybe they'll repeat, but I think they're set up just like the Spurs.
4th youngest roster, 6th lowest payroll. Pretty good.
Presti
and a bunch of draft picks.
In Oklahoma City, where nobody's going as a free agent. He just drafts and builds a team.
Meanwhile, we'll turn our attention to the Wolves. Anthony Edwards failed to crack 20 points for the 2nd straight game and is headed home. He was asked if he was hurt by another Western Conference Finals exit, and he scoffed.
I think Conley's first words after that were, "This hurts."
Your reaction?
He's young. He is young and has a lot of maturing to do. Now, he has just completed his 5th season. Anthony Edwards, I'm talking about. 5th season. 5th season, you're a veteran. You've been in the league 5 years. You are, by that point, people were yelling, Jordan, when you going to win a championship? LeBron, when you going to win a championship? Through your 5th season, all right? But he's also 23.
Yes.
So he is close. He is the 23-year-old. He's not the 5th-year veteran. Mentally.
He's almost to the day the same age as Cade. And Cade were like, wow.
You wouldn't think of Cade, right, exactly.
He got him to the playoffs. Absolutely. They were born 40 days apart.
No, that's a great addition to what I was saying. He's 23. A lot of times guys enter the league at 20, 21. He's still young. And he is too young and immature to lead a team to a championship right now. He just is. And look, this is not ripping Ant. In the history of the NBA, there has not been a guy 23 or younger to ever lead a team to a championship unless they had a Hall of Fame legend with them. Kobe had Shaq. Magic had Kareem. Bird had Tiny Archibald. And Bird was 24 at that time.
Yeah.
Walton did it at 24. Bill Walton in 77.
Old soul.
Right. That was 50 years ago, too. But it just doesn't happen in this league. Usually guys win it at 26, 27, 28 when they can, and we're talking about the best ever to lead teams to championships. So this is not a slight on him, but he's just not ready. And look, different strokes for different folks. Maybe there are guys that are like, no, this don't hurt, and they're going to put in the work. He does work hard. He definitely works hard in his game. But I will say this. In my lifetime of watching and covering the league, the guys we think of as the all-time winners, they hurt after LeBron, Jordan, Kobe, Bird, they hurt after losses like this. And they will tell you that some of them think it's necessary. That pain drove Jordan into the weight room. LeBron stayed in his room for 2 weeks by himself.
Nice
he
room,
did
though.
soul, right? Nice room. But he did soul searching. They're changing his attitude and approach to life in different ways. Soul searching. And can he do it? Generally in life. When you lift weights, it's the resistance, the pain that makes you better. When you take calculus, it's the pain that makes you get smart. Like, pain and resistance is generally what you need to get to the next level. And this tells me, I think he'll get to a point. Let this happen next year. And then the criticism really ratchets. He's fun. He's funny. He's high flying, but he can't win. It will get to a point, I believe, when it hurts him. And he's ticked off at these post-game press conferences after they've lost a series. But now this tells me, while I do think he's going to put in the hard work, I don't know, like, I kind of feel like you gotta feel that pain to really go to where you need to go to lead a team to a championship.
I don't know if he's going to. That totally makes sense. I thought it was really interesting. The other idea that I'm holding is this is who he is. That this is, like you said, his personality can cut both ways. And that's why we included a lot of shows are just cutting it off at like, nah, I'm good. But we included that other part of like, and I'm going to work my tail off or whatever it is. And I think it was it Windhorse who wrote the article? Like, once they were down 0-2 and everybody was down in the dumps, he's like, we're good. So it is part of his optimism that in another way, Brew, and you might totally disagree, this shows me a level of maturity that I don't need to be cut from the Jordan, Kobe, furrowed brow, I'm going into a dark place, and that's maybe it can be a place more of.
But who if I don't know. I hear you, and that's why I said different strokes for different folks.
Shaq.
Maybe he can do it.
Shaq.
But probably.
Shaq, I don't think Shaq was. Listen, I don't want to misquote Shaq, and I think he knows, and the audience knows how much respect I have for him. I wish I could ask him. I'll ask Lefko, my buddy, who's his buddy, to ask him. When he got swept by Hakeem in those finals, was he like devastated, or was he like, man, I wanted to win?
Wasn't he in his
third year, I think.
Second or third
I think he's the same age as Ant. It was 95, so
probably the same age.
Right, yeah. And he was probably like, but good step. You know what I mean? We're, and I'm going to get better and whatever it is. They kind of both have that gregarious attitude, and they're funny and charismatic, and so
I think the difference would be Shaq was a giant.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Physically,
and some argue Shaq that maybe that disposition is why he doesn't have 10 rings. There
are definitely those that'll say that.
And so I didn't view it as immaturity because maybe it's the same thing. It just sounds more cutting. I viewed it just as almost like naivete and youth, and almost
that's fine. Yeah.
Because here is the thing.
Okay, go ahead.
If I just real quick, he is ahead of schedule, and that is the point that he wasn't making, but I'll make on his behalf. If we look at the legends playing right now, and then the MVPs he's competing with, how'd their playoffs look before they turned 24? Okay, LeBron won 5 more playoff games. Durant won 3 more playoff games. Luka, who we thought it was great that he got to the conference finals at Ant's age. Giannis had won 7 playoff games. Shai had won 5 before he turned 24. Steph and Joker hadn't won any. Only LeBron and Durant had made a finals. I didn't include Kawhi, Harden, Russ, and Tatum because those guys went on deep playoff runs not as the best player. So that you know what I mean? These are the guys who had to be the alphas on their team and how far they went with it.
And to your point, look, Jokic, SGA, and Giannis did not come into the league great.
They were not great players immediately.
They played a few years before they became like even all-star caliber.
And it's not like, and this is why, and you said it, Brew, and you co-signed it, it's not like he doesn't work. He's gotten better every year.
Worker.
And so, the only way you can get better every year is if you're working. So it's not like we feel like he's plateaued.
Right.
No. And his teammates
to me, I see things he needs to definitely get better
100%.
And I honestly, and it wasn't just him, but last night, OKC took their heart.
Yes.
And Lou Dort was face guarding Ant. It was like he wasn't even at times looking at the rest of that. He was like denying Ant. And that's frustrating. When you got a dude that's physical, that's strong, that's athletic, all on you, and he's just stopping you from getting the ball. there were times Ant didn't come to get the ball. He was just like you could see the exasperation. I think they were happier to be in that press conference than they were on the court. It looked like they couldn't wait to get off that court.
I think my only qualifier is I don't think they took their heart last night. I think they took their heart at the end of Game 4.
Okay.
In Game 4, it was like, okay, this was our shot.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.